Hello, welcome to Comic Tropes. I'm your host Chris, and I'm doing this episode as a Patreon timed exclusive. That means that I'll provide it to my patrons on Patreon for a certain amount of time before eventually, after they've had plenty of time to see it, I will release it to everyone. But for now, thank you very much if you're one of my Patreon supporters. I appreciate it. So, Superman comics in the 50s and 60s tended to be pretty bizarre affairs, but I think I've found one that potentially tops almost all of them. From 1967, I've got Superboy number 136, and it's mostly a Krypto story. Krypto being Superboy's superhero dog. The story begins in space with the Space Canine Patrol agents. These are all superhero dogs, and they're auditioning a new member. And we can see some of the existing super dogs here. There's Chameleon Collie and Paw Pooch, Hot Dog, Top Dog, and Bulldog. Now, Bulldog may not sound like the most clever name, but wait until you see his power. They all have some pretty great powers. A potential new superhero dog named Prophetic Pup is there, and he says that he can see the future. But that's the typical teaser of where things are going, and first we jump back just a little bit to see this meeting of the SPCA kick off. Top Dog announces, as usual, we will first salute our emblem and repeat our slogan, to which they all join in. Big dog, bow wow wow, we'll crush evil now, now, now. The first dog to audition says that he's Hoodoo Hound and he can hex people with his evil eye, but Top Dog just hits him on the head with a gavel and says that he's not good enough. Prophetic Pup comes up and says that he can see visions of the future, and Top Dog says, tell you what, that sounds like a good power. If you make 3 correct predictions, we'll let you join our superhero team. And his first prediction is that Krypto the Superdog will soon visit them with a gift. Sure enough, Krypto arrives and is told, enter Krypto, the canine agents are waiting for you inside. Huh? How could anybody know I was coming? This was an unscheduled visit. Krypto delivers some balloons that are cats. Top Dog says that they will play with the cat balloons when they're off duty. But Krypto is worried, saying, hey, why are you all excited over this big surprise? Top Dog explains, because it wasn't a surprise, Krypto. Prophetic Pup predicted your gift in advance. So Prophetic Pup makes prediction number 2, which is that some scientists from Ursa Major will soon visit and test a scientific discovery. Krypto flies over to check on it, and there are some bears from Ursa Major, and they have a ray that turns them invisible except for skeletons. That doesn't lead to anything. Krypto just flies back to the SPCA and says, yep, the prediction came true. Nothing weird, just some bears turning themselves into skeletons. Totally normal. Finally, Prophetic Pup says, here's my third one. It concerns your master, Krypto, Superboy. I see him flying through space, into great danger. Danger? Tell me more. I can't. The mists of time closed in too soon. All I can predict is that a hound will lead Superboy into a deadly trap, and a hound will rescue him. Just then the emergency alarm sounds. Top Dog tunes it in, and apparently there's space static preventing radio transmission, but the dogs are using flags to send a signal that they need help back on Top Dog's planet of green dogs. So Krypto and the super dogs fly there, and there are tons of giant fleas everywhere, but the superhero hounds begin blasting back at them. Krypto follows the trail of fleas to see where they're coming from, and ultimately comes across a gigantic dog who has been infected with the fleas. So all of these fleas are coming from one poor dog. Who's putting them there? Of course it's a gang of evil space cats. We can see that there are 3 evil cat aliens in a nearby statue that are projecting tiny flea eggs into this one poor dog. But Krypto pulls a giant balloon out of his cape and puts the dog in it, flying it away to help it. I don't know why Krypto felt the need to fly this dog in a bubble into space to help him, but he does. Maybe he's going back to the SPCA headquarters or something. Of course, he's instantly attacked by the cat aliens in their cat spaceship. That's right, they have a spaceship with a cat face on it, and they fire a missile at Krypto. He's not worried about it because he says he's invulnerable, but then the cats project a transforming ray which trap Krypto within a crystalline structure full of kryptonite, and they grab the dog, taking him back to Top Dog's home planet. Now we get to see some of the SPCA super dogs combat the fleas. We've got Tusky Husky, who has dug a trench with his one big tooth. We've got Tail Terrier, who has a lasso tail that's whipping at the fleas. And of course, there's Paw Pup, who has tons of feet to kick at the fleas. These guys are all adorable, and I rate all of these dogs 11 out of 10, and I would like to pat them all. The black cats fly right back to the statue to continue their plan, but this time they're seen, and Bulldog smashes through the statue. Get it? Bull-dog. He's got horns. It's kind of brilliant. Most of the cat aliens are caught by Top Dog and the team, but one of them says, "They don't call me Tricky Tom for nothing. I'm heading for wide open space where the SCPA mutts will never run me down." Superboy was expecting Krypto back by now, and since he's not back, Superboy flies into space and immediately comes across Krypto trapped in his crystalline cage, because, you know, outer space isn't that big. When he sees that Krypto is in the kryptonite cage, Superboy uses some meteors like billiard balls and smashes it. Krypto and Superboy fly away, but Tom was hiding behind an asteroid, and just then, he's visited by some new villains. "We are the pet cats of Kryptonian criminals. We were exiled with them in the Phantom Zone. You can't see us, but we can help you trap Superboy and his superdog. Tell me your plan." That's right, Krypton would exile its criminals to the Phantom Zone, a place where they basically existed as ghosts and couldn't interact with the real world. And apparently, they were so progressive and kind, they would also send the pets of criminals to this horrible world. But these pets have somehow found a way to telepathically contact Tom. So yeah, we've got evil ghost cats now. Krypto and Superboy fly through space back to Earth, and they come across a big asteroid full of statues of Superboy's ancestors. Now again, I guess space just isn't that big, so these are the things you just bump into now and then. But this actually had been established in a previous issue that this existed. There are like 5 great people from Superboy's family that they all had statues, and I don't know, I guess that part of Krypton just blew off into space, you know? So these statues are just still floating there, and he's visited them before. So he comes now, but he says, "Hey, there's a 6th statue for Jor-El, my father. That wasn't here last time. It couldn't be a trap. Krypto, let's go see it." As they fly to it, Superboy recalls how this being a piece of Krypton, that's all kryptonite, but he had previously covered it with lead. He just brought a spray can of lead into outer space. Physics stopped working. He covered it with lead, and he could safely visit these statues. Superboy and Krypto land on the asteroid. We cut back to Tom Cat's spaceship, where the Phantom Zone criminal cats say, "You carried out our plan perfectly. The Jor-El statue was a great bait for this super trap. Now fire." "Right, Fanty Cats, it's time to use my thermal ray." And his thermal ray melts away the lead, exposing Krypto and Superboy to kryptonite, and they completely collapse and are dying. Now Tricky Tom does something incredibly questionable. I don't understand what possible advantage he would have doing this, but he takes the statues and he tows them to Earth. He could have just let Superboy and Krypto die in outer space, but he tows it to Smallville where they will suffer. I don't know. I don't get it. Krypto uses his tail to thump out in Morse code that the prophetic pup predicted this would happen, and help from the hounds at the SCPA might be coming. Superboy says, "I hope you're right, Krypto." Krypto uses what's remaining of his supervision and superhearing to check in on the SCPA dogs. I don't know why the dogs thought to come to Earth, but they did come to Earth, and they're looking for Krypto, who they know is missing. Krypto gets excited when he sees Hot Dog approaching, but Hot Dog was just following a blimp that looks like a hot dog, and he says to himself, "Hot diggity dog, that blimp has my name on it. Am I famous?" Krypto gets excited a second time when he sees Tusky Husky running around, but Tusky Husky just finds some bones, uses his tooth to drill holes in them, and makes a bone necklace for a pretty husky girl. Finally, the last dog in the area happens to be Paw Pooch, and he's swimming down the river. He's Krypto's last hope, but Paw Pooch comes across some crew members who have passed out because of some marsh gas, and so he decides to help them. Just before Superboy and Krypto die, a little boy rides up on a bicycle and pulls them away, saying, "It's a good thing I came to get autographs from the movie actors nearby. I have the signatures of lots of famous people, but not yours." Superboy says, "Pal, you'll get it now." Finally, we end at SCPA headquarters, where Top Dog awards Prophetic Pup with membership because all three predictions came true. How did a hound save Superboy and Krypto? Krypto explains. Yes, a hound did save Superboy. An autograph hound. Superhero dogs, cats that were sent to the Phantom Zone, and a pun ending with autograph hound. I mean, what more do you want out of a bizarre 60s Superman story? I love it. So, definitely check out as many old comics as possible. They have aged strangely, but they're still highly entertaining. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and until we see each other again, keep reading comics.